How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I had to start the video back over. So, had no sound, but that is no problem. Sometimes you have to just go the direction that your father wants you to go. And so, dealt with my sound issues, and one of the videos that I was going to show the royal family, it wasn't like all that, and then I found exactly what I needed. Thank you, Father, always for your mercy and grace. So anyway, my royal family, let me read this here. Here are white men posed to run big marijuana businesses, dreaming of cashing in big money, big businesses, selling weed after 40 years of impoverished black kids getting prison time for selling weed and their families and futures destroyed. Now, white men are planning to get rich doing precisely the same thing. So my royal family, y'all know that I live here in Northern California, and I was raised in San Francisco, California, and I happen to be raised in the Haight-Ashbury. So I was privy to being in the drug culture. My family moved to the Haight-Ashbury in 1960, either 67 or 68. I did not move out of the Haight-Ashbury until 1993. So it's important that I stage it, those dates, those years, for a reason, because I know what I'm talking about this. And today, while I was out on my travels and running errands, I heard on the radio that let's click it over, that that they would be dropping or expunging marijuana records from as far back as 1975, so that would be 42 years. And so me and my husband, we talked deep about it, and like we always do, and I did some deep thinking, and I can see the BS into it. Now, the way I have it titled, y'all will fully understand as I bring this all together for the royal family. So anyway, my royal family, I'm gonna play these videos, and one thing I want to say, reading, even though I'm going to leave an article there for the royal family, reading what I'm reading does not justify what's really going on. See, this is what I call boots on the ground news, when you know your community and then you know the bullshit and what's really going on in your city. And I'm going to have to start doing more local videos, because sometimes I hear other people do it and I'm like, oops, they got it off just a little bit. I mean, they do a good job, but when you're actually there. So this particular video that I'm doing is like bullshit. So anyway, I'm just ranting and raving. My royal family, let's listen to this.
Attorney says his office will toss out or reduce thousands of criminal convictions for marijuana dating back decades. The move is allowed under the 2016 ballot measure that legalized recreational cannabis use in California. ABC 7 News anchor Eric Thomas is live in the newsroom. Eric, not everyone's happy about the DA's move.
No, not everyone is, but as you mentioned, the Prop 64 that legalized recreational pot in the city, 75% of San Francisco voters approved that. It also allowed people convicted of marijuana crimes to petition the courts to reverse their convictions. But San Francisco's DA is going one better. Since 1975, nearly 8,000 people have been convicted of marijuana-related crimes in San Francisco. But now that pot is legal in California, DA George Gascon says those convictions no longer make sense.
I believe that long ago we lost our ability to distinguish the dangerous from the nuisance. And it has broken our pocketbooks, the fabric of many of our communities, and we have not been any safer for it.
Today, Gascon announced that more than 3,000 misdemeanor pot convictions would be reversed and the defendants' records expunged, and nearly 5,000 felonies would be re-examined to see if they could be thrown out. Violent felonies would not be eligible.
If you were convicted of murder or rape, a lot of the serious offenses, we're also going to look at the totality of their history.
Prop 64, the voter-approved initiative that legalized marijuana in California, allows defendants to petition to have their convictions thrown out. But that requires a lawyer, time, and money. Gascon says his staff will handle everything. People won't have to lift a finger.
I feel that this is a giant step toward justice.
The Reverend Amos Brown of the local NAACP chapter says this will be especially welcome in San Francisco's communities of color. But not everyone is happy. Bishop Ron Allen is with the International Faith-Based Coalition. He campaigned against the legalization of pot, and he opposes the Gascon plan.
We want to see them in jail, educated, absolutely turned around. Please do not release them back into the community.
Gascon says the misdemeanor cases should go pretty quickly, but reviewing each felony conviction will take time, and he doesn't have an estimate on how much it might cost yet. Also, Gascon says some defendants will be able to use a new law, Senate Bill 393, to seal their marijuana arrest records as well. In the newsroom, Eric Thomas, ABC 7 News.
All right, my royal family.
Breaking news just into our news.
Let me shut that down. And this next video I'm going to play here, my royal family, it's a reason why I'm playing it and you'll fully understand. Please pay close attention to this video. I want you to just look at what's really going on. I'm not going to say anything yet, but this is very vital.
Customer at the Apothecarium tells KTVU he lined up at 4:20 Saturday morning, wanting to be the first in line for what he called an historic day.
It is a historic day. You know, this is the only time this will ever happen. First day.
San Francisco took longer to work out the logistical wrinkles of legal cannabis sales, lagging 5 days behind cities like Oakland and San Jose, which allowed pot sales to begin New Year's Day. Already there are threats of pushback on the federal level. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has already said the Department of Justice will step away from Obama-era policies, looking the other way if states allow the legal sale of cannabis. California politicians are vowing to continue the fight.
He doesn't know what is going to hit him in terms of the bipartisan backlash against his ridiculous announcement the other day. And I believe that we will be able to preserve access to cannabis in California and in other states, and that we will effectively tell the federal government to butt out.
Before the doors opened, the Apothecarium was a hive of activity, topped off with a ribbon cutting.
1, 2, 3.
Crews began switching the business over from a medical dispensary to a recreational outlet and prepared for a flood of customers.
That is one of the big differences. That we do expect to see more people, but we are still really focused on the needs of medical patients.
Finally, the doors opened just after 9 to a rush of customers. Dominic Rea, who'd lined up nearly 5 hours early, walked away the first legal cannabis customer in San Francisco.
It feels like you're a regular person. I mean, it feels like you're not under scrutiny or anything. You're just doing like you wouldn't go to the store and buy anything. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Now that cannabis sales are legal in San Francisco, keep in mind that means it can now be taxed. In San Francisco, that means a 15% excise tax and an 8.5% sales tax. In San Francisco, Christian Captain, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, my royal family, let me take this down because I don't want it to overlap. And I'm going to put it here for just a minute as I'm talking to the royal family. Now, this is some bullshit, and I'm going to tell you why, my royal family. Now, the question that you would have to ask is, why in San Francisco, California, all of a sudden, they want to expunge or clean up people's records that have marijuana charges? And why are they investing in this? Where if there's any glitches or any problems, San Francisco is investing in unquote criminals. We're going to clean this up. We're going to do you a favor because all this injustice has happened because the chief of police basically said that their war on crime was not effective. So as me and my husband was talking, we could see the bullshit into it immediately. So the first part of the bullshit that we see is them doing this, that allows them to have more customers because there is no way that the city of San Francisco is just going to invest and not get something in return. So yeah, let's loosen up the laws. They've already voted on it on a state level. Now everything on a federal level, because the feds could come in and knock the doors down, but there is so much money. This is $1 billion industry. Money talks. And then the governor, Jerry Brown, one of the biggest potheads out there, yes, he gonna amen it. And just to let the royal family know, this is his second time being governor because he was a governor back in the 70s. So some people don't quite know the politics of San Francisco. Now, this may surprise people. Even though they will give the impression that this is a very liberal state, and let's nail it down, in a liberal city, the city of San Francisco up here in the Bay Area, period. And I've always said to people, this is a Republican state. Now, whatever they put on paper, they put on paper. But we have some of the most wealthy people throughout California. Because you got your Hollywood and you got all your celebrities down there, and then you come up my way and there's still a lot of wealthy people. In fact, the wealthiest county up here is in Marin, and that's where Tupac's mother was living. That's where the dude that did Star Wars, I can't remember all them people's names. It's a number of very, very wealthy people just up here in Northern California. And then when, like I said, when you start getting around the Bay Area, you know, we got wine country up here in Napa. And so we have some very fertile land up here to grow it. Now, it's a little bit harder in Southern, because Southern is nothing more than a big-ass desert. And they don't get enough rain, but it does rain in California, in Southern too as well. Just giving y'all a little bit of history to understand that it's vastly different between Northern and Southern. So Southern is about 5 to 6 hours from me. So there is a vast difference in the feeling. When you are here in Northern, they give you the impression that the folks are more unquote liberal. But when those folks get in there voting and everything, this motherfucker is just as racist. And I don't want the royal family to ever lose sight when you are saying, I've heard many say it, even my dear sweet husband is seasoned as he is, but it just lets you know how he has been affected by the system. He has said, well, if we move out of this state and go to, move out of this state and go whatever state, the white folks ain't as racist there. And I say, baby, they the same around the globe. You can't get away from them. I just keep it real with my husband. But anyway, as I ramble on, my royal family. So as we were talking about it, then we started getting into talking about where they make the laws real tough and hard for black people to get into the cannabis business. The fees are ridiculous. I think it's like $200,000 just to get some license to have your own farm, your own dispensary, and all of those things, whatever phase you want to get into it. Some people have their own farms and dispensaries, or some people, whatever they do. So they make it real hard, really, really hard. And all you see is droves of black or white folks throwing up these businesses. And I mean, like downtown Oakland alone, you can just ping pong back and forth across the street. Now, the game that they are playing up here in California, let's stay focused, because there's some different shit going on down in Southern. We just talking strictly Northern. And now we're going to talk strictly San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley. We're going to keep it those regions. So the game that they play, I have a cannabis card, and this is how they do it. You go see the doctor. You don't have to make no appointment. It's a one-stop center. Usually you're going to see some old dried up ass hippie doctor, because the one that I see, you can tell she's a straight hippie. And if nothing, if you don't have any unquote ailments, you know, you come in there and you make up your lie, and they know you're lying, and they put the shit on the paper and all that, and then they weigh you and blood pressure, you know, to justify why they are issuing you out a cannabis card in order to purchase cannabis. And I don't care where you go, it's going to cost $100. So in order to have that medical card, that's going to be $100 a year. All right. Then whatever dispensary you decide to go to, you don't know if they are going to charge you to be a part of their dispensary club. Each one set their thing up different, but they real strict. They got guards at all of them, and you can't bring your friends in there. You gotta have that card. And the place that I go to is called the Purple Heart in Oakland. And you know what's ironic? It's directly across the street from the Oakland Police Department. It pisses them off. Truly, it pisses them off. And when I first got my card, I was astounded, because I'm naive to weed. Even though I grew up around drugs and everything, I live in chronic pain, and my husband suggested to me to try cannabis. And I feel like my card is a waste, because I probably would go maybe 3 to 4 times a year. I'm just not knowledgeable on it, and but I do have to admit it does help me with my pain. But when you go in there, when I went in there, it's obvious that white folks run it and operate it. And this particular cannabis club I go to, there is a lot of black folks working there. That's shocking, because the other ones is lily white. That's why I showed the second video. And they've been having conventions here in the Bay Area and everything. And like I said, what pisses the royal family off is the fees to be involved in this. And the thing is, I go back to that word again, hypervia. It didn't hit me one day, where these greasy motherfuckers is capitalize on this, and they don't want us to have no part of a $1 billion industry. It's like we are a non-motherfucking factor. So San Francisco want to get in on, you know, the residuals from it. So yeah, let's free everyone up, and also possibly make it easier for some more of these white boys that have some charges on them, so they can start their own farm or dispensary or whatever, however they want to get down. And that is an investment. They ain't doing no favors for nobody when they talk about the war on drugs. But see, then what they do when they show the both of the pastors, they are nothing more than a proxy with they coon ass. That's all that is. Just put, throw Reverend Fatback up in there, and one is like, yeah, we can do this. And Amos with his ass, I can remember back in the 90s when Bill Clinton first ran for office, they paid him $50,000 to tell his congregation to vote for Bill Clinton. In fact, they was going throughout the United States paying black pastors for that. So yeah, he in on it too, because he want him some coins, So yeah, he gonna push the rhetoric too. And you didn't see any of us there talking about, yeah, this is a champion, this will be wonderful, this will be grand for us, you know, and everything. So you have to look at the backdrops of things, my royal family, how these people get down. So don't be fooled by Northern California. These folks up here is just as racist, and you know, people be, you know, some people get in their mind San Francisco, they hate Ashbury, the hippies and stuff. Those were the majority of them was nothing more than wealthy white kids that rebelled against their parents and was just in a fucking phase. And a lot of them started businesses. I remember when Whole Foods started in Berkeley, when it was just a bunch of RV buses back in the early 70s. And they didn't even have a building in that very place now, because they got a real big one in Berkeley. I remember me and my dad used to go, and those hippies, what they did, cut their hair, put on a suit and tie, and got to business. In fact, one of the heirs to the Holiday Inn, he would be damn near barefooted, nasty, and everything. My dad told me, because I don't remember that. And he set up a card table one day. Now this is in the early 70s, and he was giving out $100 bills. They put his ass in the mental house, because my husband said, you know, giving out $100 bills in the early 70s was equivalent to like that $100 was like giving somebody damn near $1,000 back then. Anyway, I'm just ranting. That's all, my royal family. But on the real, let me continue to stay focused. So, are we a part of this? What's really going on? Because we got some business-minded folks, some black folks in the royal family that's serious, that know how to take care of business and want to be a part of this billion-dollar industry. So check this out. This is not in California, but this next video I'm going to show, but it's going to let you know what is going on throughout the United States, the states that are allowing this. Now keep this in mind again, my royal family. This is the state level, not the federal level. And the thing that's stopping Sessions, even though he's saying what he's saying, folks, you ain't gonna mess with no billion-dollar industry. They'll take that sucker out, or pay him off, or you know, do whatever they got to do. You don't mess with the white folks' money.
So I'm Darrell Hill, and I've been a bit of a groundbreaker most of my life, starting back in high school, where I integrated the sports teams at my high school, Gonzaga. And then after that, I went to the Naval Academy and became the first African American to play football for any military academy at Annapolis.
Hill later transferred to Maryland, where he was the university's first black football player.
You know, I got to be known as the Jackie Robinson of college sports.
After college, he helped award federal contracts to minority-owned businesses and opened the country's first African-American-owned fine dining restaurant. And he's still trying to break down barriers. He took his decades of business expertise and millions in investment capital and applied for a marijuana cultivation permit when Maryland began accepting applications in 2015. But his application was denied.
I was really surprised, considering when I looked at the other awardees who nowhere near were close to our capacity.
In Maryland, none of the state's 15 cultivation licenses went to black-owned businesses. And across the country, experts say cannabis industry leaders are overwhelmingly white. While it's not clear why Hill's application was denied, researchers say the minorities have had a hard time breaking into this booming industry.
I don't think that there was a conscious effort by anybody, or the state of Maryland or any other state, to say, we're going to not let African Americans play. It was an indifference that the problem was.
That indifference is coupled with two obstacles in the industry that critics say target minorities: massive fees and capital requirements, and rules keeping anyone with a drug conviction from working in the industry.
The burden of drug charges were disproportionately borne by African Americans, clearly. Now you're going to shut all these people out, no matter how minor the charge.
Hill isn't giving up. He's joined forces with Rhett Jordan, founder of Native Roots, one of the largest legal marijuana operations in the country. And they're making it their mission to bring more minorities into the industry.
All right, my royal family. Let me take that down quickly. So, that gives the royal family a more of a picture of what we are encountering and how in their greed. And this is nothing surprising. The driving force of this, my royal family, is and I'm learning too. Like I said, I'm hitting my learning curve, that now when I listen to the news, I look at it, I listen different. It's like I'm listening with 3 ears. But I often say too that I listen with my heart. And I'm really at this point in my life where I'm introspective, where I'm looking at the backdrop. I'm not looking at what they want to put up in my face, because literally messages are literally in plain sight. So let's not lose sight of what the enemy is doing, because the driving force of many of the black YouTubers that have their videos, have our channels up, is it's like it's iron sharpening iron. We're keeping each other awake. That's why they never wanted us to read or anything or to communicate. And see, this is the last frontier where everything right here is going to change, because literally we can talk to people for a little or no cost, literally around the globe. Literally. If you check your analytics on your channel, you'd be amazed, just looking at the map part, where people are listening to you around the globe. And every once in a while, you'll get a message, and you'll have your folks across the pond letting you know, we supporting you, we watching you, and it's like, hey family, how you doing? You know, and so the Caucasoids, they keep doing the same repetitive thing. So we had already figured them out, and they cannot stop this momentum that's going on. So there has to be a change. We're going to change. We're going to elevate. We're going to progress. They're going to stay stagnant. So, but they're and so we already figured them out. That's why I always say we won the war. But see, they want to give the illusion that they are winning all the time, and they're going to demonstrate even more of their greed. They're greedy. They don't understand spreading the wealth. That's how I was raised. That came from my dear father. He said, you can't make everybody happy, but you can satisfy people to some extent. You don't need that much money. And they deliberately, now they want to play dumb, but they deliberately go out of their way to make sure that we are not a part of the process. And then when we do try to get in, the fees are just astronomical. They know what they're doing because they invest in their sales. And how quickly, I'm going to tell you, this is a good investment. How quickly your money return when it comes to cannabis. I mean, it's a booming ass business. It truly is. So, and that's the reason why I was showing this magazine here, my royal family, to show you how deep that they done got into this with their seminars. I mean, look at this. You can go to this seminar here, you get registered and all this shit. $250 just to go to this. I don't know what damn state. It don't even matter. They even got a magazine. Shit, we don't have no damn cannabis magazine, not that I know of, Here's another one out here in Ventura. Ventura is in Southern California. So they're investing. Go on and on. We have to pay attention to these things. They investing. And they don't want us to have no part of it. They just want us to be customers. So don't lose sight when they're saying, oh, we done did you a favor. Yeah, you got all these weed charges and all this stuff. Hey, we're going to clear that all up. They already did that in Oakland, California. I don't know how many years ago they did it. Where if you have so many ounces, the cops don't arrest you. But you know what? They're going to arrest you anyway, especially when they see us and they just say, let the courts figure it out, just to inconvenience you, impound your car. Then you got to pay impoundment fees to get your car, and God knows if you got a bunch of tickets and shit on like that, and just the process of going through for the judge just to even throw it out. They don't give a damn. They're not going to operate above board. But anyway, my royal family, so we are being left out, and then in turn they're doing us a favor. So anyway, here's the next video. Let me get to the next one here. Now check this out.
States just legalized cannabis.
We want to turn to the historic night.
Voters legalize the recreational use of marijuana. Liz, this is a real game changer.
We're at a moment where sort of the chips are falling.
Here are white men poised to run big marijuana businesses, dreaming of cashing in big money.
Policies are coming online. The things that happen now are really going to set the stage for the future.
After 40 years of impoverished black kids getting prison time selling weed, white men are planning to get rich doing precisely the same thing.
My name is Abele Afedabo.
My name is Lenice Martin.
My name is Bissette.
And we're co-founders of the Hood Incubator. We're an organization that's focused on creating pathways to ownership for people of color in legal cannabis. Growing up on the east side of Buffalo, my dad would drive me around and point out the check cashing shops, the rent-to-own stores, the corner bodegas. But when we crossed Main Street to go to my friend Sarah's house, they had everything that my father said we needed in our neighborhood. That was when I realized it was about opportunity and access to resources for my community.
We organize folks that have been operating in the underground cannabis industry that seek to transition themselves to the legal industry.
In the city of Oakland, California alone, almost 80% of cannabis-related arrests are black people. It's almost 90-95% if you take all people of color. White people only get arrested 4% of the time. But when you look at business investment, less than 1% of venture capital funding or loans in this country are going to black business owners.
After talking, having one-to-ones, doing our research, and interviewing people in the mainstream cannabis industry, what we came up with is a pre-seed accelerator that trains low-income POC folks.
A 4-month, 100-hour business intensive.
The first and only one in the nation that focuses on people of color transitioning into the legal cannabis industry.
We want to take folks who either are already operating in the underground, maybe they already have a whole distribution channel and a whole customer base, but they don't know the exact licensing and what is an operating plan.
We also have a slate of legal workshops that we provide. Like anything else, business comes down to relationships and the community that you are able to curate. And so we create a member circle.
We are currently looking at a cannabis industry of $3 billion, which will grow to $6 billion in California by 2020.
Who is that money going to go toward? Is it going to be the traditional folks who tend to gain economically? Or is it going to be the folks who have been most negatively impacted by the war on drugs? Now is the time for us to act and create the pipelines that's going to allow people of color to have a real stake in this industry.
There is a huge opportunity for us to cultivate and create a new industry that centers and honors our histories and our traditions of healing.
We're raising $30,000 to launch these programs, about 10% of our 2017 budget.
So that we can help 15 teams create business plans and execute them.
We're asking you to support with whatever dollars you can, whether that's 5, 10, if you have more money to give, anything you can do to support this cause, we're asking for that. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Share this campaign with your friends, families, and other networks. This is really going to take a team effort. We're a startup and we're really trying to do something that's going to change the industry and ultimately change our world for the better. So please do whatever you can to support. Thank you.
All right, my royal family. Now, they don't want these type of organizations. And the sad part about it is they are still at ground level, literally begging for money. The three queens here, they are well educated. They know how to operate businesses. Now, the one thing that I do disagree with is having any caucasoids or anybody that not look like us, because usually when they have that caucasoid in there, that's the very one that's reporting back to their own what we are doing. They always got infiltrators. It can even be some of our own too as well, because we have that too as well. Just to put something on your mind, you know, that inclusion, we have to be unapologetic about what our mission is. That's back to having that shift in consciousness. That's again back to being willful and mindful, whatever endeavors that we choose to get in, and be professional based on our standards on what we need to do. So ultimately, my royal family, the driving force of this video is, again, not to lose sight of the white men speaking with unquote forked tongue and giving the illusion that they are doing us a favor, and then they're using the same old shit that they have used for centuries. Go get the pastor, because you know they would have one on the plantations, and he would walk around with the good book, and 9 times out of 10 he couldn't even read either. And when it seemed like the slaves is getting a little bit unruly, then the master sent him out there, you know what you got to do, and he'll hoop and holler and scream and bejeebas and all that type of stuff. And that's not a disrespect to the Messiah, because y'all know I do believe in the black Messiah. So it's the same thing. That's like I said, that Cynthia G was right on that. They are not a progressive group of people. It was the purpose of even having them there. So the purpose was to, if there was any backlash about us talking about, well, you know, this is where this group needed to be. They needed to be at that news conference, and they needed to be questioning Reverend Fatback about, well, why we can't get any investments here. You know, he's sitting up here saying it's a wonderful thing, and you have access, damn near the key to the city of San Francisco. They would get their money back immediately. When it comes to willing and dealing, and any cannabis is not a weed, but you know not a drug, but they want to put it in that weed form. Your money comes back to and fro. Even I think even in the state of Oregon, when they legalized everything there, don't hold me on it, but put it this way: in one day they made millions in that state. And the state is looking at that. Oh yeah, we're gonna come up with some shit. We're gonna vote locally. Fuck what the federal government say. Money is money. And then eventually the federal government gonna be telling Sessions, you need to shut the fuck up. This is a $1 billion industry. You know how they get down. One more thing with this as I close out, my royal family. It makes me think when the Iraq war started and I was watching the news. I was still working at that time, watching the world news, and I remember there was a convention that they were having, and it was like any contractors. They used the word unquote contractors, even though a lot of them did not have their contractor's license, and it didn't necessarily even have to be construction. And they was, letting them know that they have, a little base where the contractors could live with their families, and it would look like a little small America and everything. And they interviewed this one white lady, and I think she was in the part of distributing food or something like that. And they asked her, well, aren't you afraid to have your family there and stuff? And she arrogantly said, oh, I don't have no worry about it. We have those $1,000 guards. Though they was wiping them, they would pay them $1,000 a day. They was wiping their ass out left and right. They would be the one to escort you. And then even the truck drivers that went over there, they was paying them thousands a day to drive in a war zone and everything. And then they have these little top secret exclusive conventions, and they gonna get there off the top. All money ain't good money. That's how they get down. one more story because I'm on a roll. My mother, bless her heart, the house that she had in Oakland, California was literally directly across the street from a recreation center. And you could literally throw a rock at it and not miss. That's how close it was to her. And me and my husband lived there for a short time, and I never forget this. It was on an early Saturday morning. It was cars everywhere because they only had a little small parking lot for the staff. And mind you, this community is, let's say now it's about 80%, a little over 80% black, and then you got your Mexicans, and then you have your Vietnamese, Cantonese, all that type of feel, and sprinkled in is some white folks. And anyway, I see all these cars, and then the next thing I know, at each corner of the street, it is barricaded off. But there's somebody there that would let you in and out too, as well. And I said, what the hell going on? And put it this way, there was absolutely no black people, and you wouldn't believe what they was there for. They were signing up to get on a list to become a firefighter, and on top of that, they would give free classes every Thursday night to get you to prepare for the test. We knew nothing about it. There was not one flyer in the neighborhood, and the crazy part about it is that recreation center is ran by black folks top to bottom. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. There's people right in this neighborhood. So even the damn people in the rec center, they involved. You didn't see not a one as far as being in that line signing up to become possibly a firefighter. And I kid you not, when I would get off of work, they like clockwork, every Thursday night they would get in there about six. I think they started around 6, and it would be a drove of cars out there getting themselves prepped and stuff. I'm like, wow. You know, because my husband, we looked high and low. We even looked online. It was that's how they get down. And all of that's going to blow up in their face. And then when we confront them with their bullshit and their rhetoric and the same redundant thing that they do over, then they get convenient amnesia. Then they play that old game like they don't know what's going on, because the next thing that they want us to do is be in a state of rage and go off and say, see how they is? Type of attitude. And it's like they have the control. No, 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 no. That's why we're going to start deeply studying the art of war. We have to know how to execute with anybody that is deemed our enemy in this system. So don't. And then the other thing, one more thing. Woo, I'm on one. It drives me up the wall. I seen another news clipping somewhere where some black child in either high school or junior high school, he had a racial incident, and he's sitting up there literally clueless. His mama is clueless. You don't know what's going on and all of this. And I was thinking, I'm gonna keep it real. I was thinking, bitch, is you teaching this child anything about their duties and responsibilities in this neighborhood and about these people and how these people get down? And then you think because you done got a couple of extra coins, you're going to move to suburbia and they going to go to, they got good schools up there. And your child stand up like a sore thumb, and you can't understand why, you was across town and your child was doing good, then you go to the suburban and then your child in remedial classes. The pipeline to hell, basically. That's how they get down. We got to get up out of that. We keep looking to the demons, and we are royalty, and we want to reduce ourselves. Don't lose sight of how these people get down. And then at the end of the day, we're put in a position where we're back here begging, and we should not have to be begging. We should be getting this from ourselves. We do not invest in ourselves. And I can understand if you don't want to invest on a larger scale. Back to that immediate situation. Invest in your own individual family. And the other part, when you invest in them, expect nothing back as far as money. But you have to do that when they're small to shape their minds where they know, they fully understand, our royals, that it's all about keeping the family together opposed to us being a group of separatists. You know, it's like, now this is the one on the Queens. It's like just the hair care products and business alone. Black women should be billionaires because we are anal about our hair, and it ain't nothing wrong with it. We the queens, we the trendsetters. They pulled the rug from up under us on that one. You look up one day and it's like, damn, Black beauty supplies? When the fuck this happened? You know, we're not taking care of business, man. See, we get our emotions caught up in this shit. We want to rant and rave. We don't know when to shut that shit off. Having all this emotions on shit, you know, I'm giving y'all some deep advice. If you ever get in business with your folks, let's not even talk about the business. Let's talk about conflict. How you going to act when we done butt heads? Are you not going to show up so we can get these coins? Because it's all about your immediate situation and your feelings and everything. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Say that business, the village is depending on us to do what we got to do in order to eat. And then when we have some disagreements, and you are a key component, a very vital component in keeping us intact and keeping our village intact. Wow. You need to invest in ourselves. And I know we've been tainted so bad and everything that has happened to us, because sometimes I even say it. But we left no other choice but to invest in ourselves. We don't come from a race of begging and bowing and scraping people. I keep saying, some people laugh. We literally come from royal stock. Conduct yourself in a royal fashion. I don't care what condition you in. You still royal. And fully understand that in nature, out in the wildlife, every animal has a true enemy, and they deal with them accordingly. We are not of one race, my royal family. We have to fully understand that we're going to have to get to a point where we should not even be having these kind of videos, where we have enough understanding that it's like, you holding me back. I have to go to the next level. And that does not mean that I'm better than, because hopefully when you go to the next level and not just be always talk, that very person that was reluctant, they're keeping their eye on you. And eventually they say, you know, I can do this. I can do this. So anyway, my royal family, I'm all over the place on it and bring it back in. This is bullshit up here, what they doing in the state of California and in San Francisco. But San Francisco is good for this. They will do things like this. And the other states are watching and seeing how it's going to work out. And if it works out pretty good, within 3 to 5 years, you're going to see more of this happening. But still, at the end of the day, they're going to put our faces there like they doing us a favor. It don't even make sense why we even up in there opposing it, because it's them that's a part of that $1 billion industry. So anyway, my royal family, I thank Father for our Father God for making that first video silent, because my whole energy changed doing this video. So things happen for a reason. So my royal family, as always, render your beautiful voice with your divine words. Keep it truthful. How do you feel about this? This channel was safe to disagree without attacking each other's character. So my royal family, as always, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.